Hello YouTube, welcome back. I wish I could say this was Nutkin Farm. The whole place is beautifully mowed, whereas I've gone a couple of weeks from the farm and come back to a bit of a growing jungle, and my neighbour reckons it's growing 10 centimetres a day, this grass, and I'm not sure he's exaggerating either. But I'm here on my 150th show, and it's also an episode of the Macadamia show because I thought I'd like to spend the 150th show and dedicate it to one of the most regular contributors to my thinking and to my education in the macadamia arena here in the Northern Rivers, and that's Bruce Chester.
Hello Daniel, congratulations. 150.
150. You know, I never thought I would. I thought there'd only be about Nutkin Farm and just updates on what's happening in the farm, but I've learned so much and I wanted to share it, and I still want to share it. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to get to, but
well, I only ever see encouragement for starters.
Yeah.
And for second, as your subscribers grows every time I look in and see how you're rolling.
Yeah, look, it's not that popular, and I don't try. I just thought it'd be family and friends.
900 and something subscribers, man.
Yeah. look at this.
It's when she wants to produce, she can really produce this little place.
Yeah, and there's some. Do you know what tree this is? Is it a 246 or what?
I'm going to go for the 246. We previously identified the 246 along in this top paddock, as I like to.
Right, in the top part of the paddock, yeah. Beautiful crop of nuts. There's a bit of, is this husk spot? This stuff here, or is it just?
Yes, I'm afraid I've got quite a bit of, well, normally they'll shed in November anyway, especially when there's a bit of rain around.
There's a tiny bit, isn't there? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The November key to the shedding is obviously the nuts have formed to the stage where the tree wants to go, do I need to produce as much as I can, or can I relieve a bit of the load on my energy requirements when the rain comes and pushes things around?
It's a balancing thing, isn't it? Very much.
Yeah, well, that's the way I read it. I have been known to be wrong frequently. Let me quickly.
No. Well, I mean, we are in El Nino, and there is slightly less rain than average. It doesn't feel that way in the Northern Rivers, and I'm about to do a show on that specifically, but it's one of the drier years for you.
It was dry through September, October.
Yeah.
We actually received a good amount of rain in November, which this is not an El Nino mowing season. I'm going to say to you, bang up. Okay?
No.
So
I can see it on my farm, but I'm too scared to show the viewers at this point. I need to do some mowing first.
Yeah.
But yeah, so up here at the top of your block, I suppose, you know, over the years, you've watched these trees grow now. It's been 36 years at this farm.
It has. 10th of October, 87.
And these were babies when you took them over.
Yeah.
And so you've had good crops and bad crops. Based on what you're seeing this December, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you reckon?
I reckon she wanted to produce a 9.
Really? It's a good crop.
Do.
Yeah.
Well, it's not confined to the macas. I don't know if you noticed the mangoes when we came in.
Yeah.
A, dry September, October, but B, they're A, well advanced, and B, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So
you're going to get mangoes this year. I got too much rain.
Did you?
And it's another off year for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's been
I'm going to have plenty.
four years of 20, 21, 22, no mangoes, but 19 I got 100.
Well,
hundreds of them.
And this poor tree,
yeah,
she obviously feels more than the one next to it, so I'm getting less nutrient into this.
Yes.
Somehow. Okay?
Well, I suppose nutrient on your farm runs downhill here to an extent.
It does.
But, you know, you're not using the stuff that leaches very much.
Well, the one next door, I'm going to venture to say, is I get the manure dumped right there on the flat spot.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to say it benefits more from the runoff
Yeah.
than this baby does even.
Right.
And from there on, yeah, the gravity of the situation becomes apparent downhill.
Yes, yes. And right near the road there is a good place to get manure dumped, because the trucks don't like going right into farms, do they?
And I wanted to put a little driveway road into there.
Yeah.
I've had the odd one who'll come in and do it,
Yeah.
but most of them don't. And I have to stand up, and there's a lot of dust goes with the cow manure delivery, okay?
Yeah, it smells.
But I've got to stand and guide them to make sure that they're not going to go and touch the wires.
Oh dear.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
You point that out to them, they're a little more likely to hear you when you
Yes.
say, please come in and deliver it. They're not likely to abide by you in 90% of the instances, let me
Yes.
quickly add.
Well, they're delivering manure, so
Yeah.
what are you going to
But
get?
sadly, I've come to the end of my stay of caretaking here.
Yes, we're going to come to that. It's really, this is going to be your final season here, and out of 36 seasons, and you know, in total you've been since 1977. So we're
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you had
45 odd years in the Northern Rivers totally, and yeah. So you're retiring and selling up here at Fernlea, which is one of the gems of the Northern Rivers nowadays. But I just thought, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the final video we shoot here. Maybe it is. I guess it doesn't. It depends how long it takes for you to move on with the next phase of your life.
You want to film a party called The Last Supper?
The Last Supper, yeah. Yeah, no, that would be interesting, yeah. But, look, in the last few years, you know, your personal circumstances haven't really let you farm too actively.
No.
But it's been something where, you know, on, 2 hectares of trees, pretty much?
Yeah, well, that would be the maximum of it. It's 4.9 hectares in total.
Yeah.
And here's 500 odd trees, a little less.
Yeah.
Well, when you and I first spoke, it was the end of 2021.
Yep.
And we were asking about my 2020 yield.
Yes.
Okay.
Which was something like 8 tonnes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 8.92 or something like that.
Which is extraordinary for this amount of trees. Yeah.
Well, when she wants to,
Yeah.
she'll go. Now, my lack of insecticide to perfect that would be easily overcome to give it far more return each year. So that's
sure.
the reality of the game. And and
It shows how healthy the trees are, that even after insect or fungus or whatever that you're not spraying for, that you can still get a crop that big.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I think you've made the point before that this has managed to be your living for
last 36 years.
Yeah, since 1987 or so.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that you've managed to do that. But obviously now in the current pricing climate, that hasn't really been.
It hasn't been a great assistance.
No.
However, to be honest and fair to the farm, I have had to neglect my farming activities for the last 3 years, really. So it's sad, but that's the way it's all unfolded. I'll tell you what, though, okay, this place has taught me a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And I learned from some very wise people who I regard as mentors along the way before I got here. So
it's funny, you can still get results like this, you know, these nuts here, you know, even without a hell of a lot of attention, but obviously that's because when you take a long-term view with soil health and everything, soil health doesn't disappear overnight like chemical fertilisers do.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, so when you build it up, you've got a bit in reserve that obviously just comes through in years like this.
It makes a great passage for things like this. It's your insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah. So Bruce, what I wanted to ask you, because, you know, we're all in an area now where macadamias are the predominant agriculture. at least for now.
Yes.
I mean, there's some threats to it because some people are, you know, bulldozing macadamia farms, and there's one up at Eureka where a beautiful farm which has a lovely view has been bulldozed and has been subdivided for housing, which I just think is a crime, given that, you know, it's premium farming land.
It is sad. It really is.
But, you know, perhaps if you take these as signs of the times, I thought, you know, to speak to someone who was here at the beginning and then ask how things have developed since then, it might give us a bit better foundation for those of us who are here now to sort of work out where we came from, if you like, or where the industry came from. So 1977
was my introduction,
but
we moved into where the cow pastures were being bulldozed over and levelled.
This was in Eureka?
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And your area and everything. It wasn't confined to one farm, I can assure you.
No.
There were many around the place, and I think I nominated Windstream in one of our earlier videos.
Yep.
Which is at Clunes. So,
yeah.
But these were set up and they came in for what was regarded as rich people, because the country folk were just every day. There was a
cattle
community.
Farmers.
Yeah, exactly right.
So this would have caused some disturbance, surely. Resentment, or
well, there was opportunity for a lot of people. If you speak to your neighbour, okay.
Yep.
And
you mean Peter Fraser?
Of episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you speak to him, it provided employment opportunities.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he first got into macadamias as a uni student, going around helping people repair trees that were wrecked by storms.
Right.
So that was his first exposure to macadamias before deciding to grow them himself.
Well, Peter, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring Rambo out.
Yeah.
And dig him out. But yes, so it provided as well. And, you know, you've got a happier community. There was money flowing in. Nothing like the vast quantities that are coming in nowadays. Not into this industry, let me quickly emphasise.
But it was from the city too, wasn't it, really?
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
and
because these were, you know, we've been through this, we don't need to go through it again. It was a tax dodge era where people were sinking their taxable income into rural investments that wouldn't pay off for many years.
Well, that's right.
And that's what made it effective.
It was an investment.
Yeah.
And when you take the investor's mind, okay, he wants to make his investment work. And like you, these guys generally, from what I can gather, would come up, they would have Christmas parties with their employees,
yep,
etc., and they would be looking after their employees.
Right.
There was an earlier picture of a Fendt tractor back in 1984.
Right.
Okay, which was the latest technology, carbon filtered cabin and da-di-da-di-da.
Yeah.
Okay, how primitive would that be nowadays, mon ami?
Probably would be, although, yeah, one of my neighbours does have a Fendt tractor even now.
Well, there you go.
But
however, if you look at, okay, the economics of the situation, it came out of investors, stimulated by whatever means, and it was good tax advantage, sensible tax advantage. Now you can see that's still happening today. And
well, a new wave of it's happened today. I mean, they're not doing it for the same reasons as they did in the 70s, but they're still coming in from the city. And I mean, I suppose really wanted to know that, in the 70s, where you had a largely local population who was being invaded by the city slickers with the money and planting macadamias, there wasn't social unrest. There wasn't people saying...
In fact, the people who wanted to take umbrage at spraying and all of this were the ones who have gone protect our rainforests, etc.
Right.
So they actually, it was under that purpose. It wasn't protect our cow pastures, I can assure you of that.
Right, okay.
Secondly, you've got the infrastructure that grew from this, local employment, because they all had to have I mean, everybody was equipped. There was tractor purchases, exactly the same thing as what goes in.
Right.
However, it's reflected today in what we now replace in terms of those investors with large capital.
Yeah.
It's called agribusiness nowadays.
Yeah.
And the agribusiness is based solely on economics.
It is.
And that economics can be elusive.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
on the ABC newspaper last week, I think it was, or the week before,
Yeah.
where Ferrero Rocher had sold
They're getting out of hazelnuts,
the
yeah.
hazelnuts. Now there's
Yeah.
1 million trees
Yep.
on 2,600 odd hectares, okay?
And they're getting
gonna
bulldozed.
bulldoze 1 million trees, and
Yeah.
they've just come to maturity.
Yeah.
They've just come to maturity. So,
You think, what a waste.
well, it is absolutely, and the value of the land is all in the water licenses.
Yes,
So,
yes.
okay, it's, and the upshot of it is that Ferrero Rocher were trying to grow something so that we didn't import all of our hazelnuts or whatever it is,
Yeah.
a huge amount, and that stimulated people to come into the hazelnut industry. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, they made money while it lasted. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully, but like I said, the potential and the waste is just a silliness.
Yes.
And it
Yeah, I
really-
mean, that is silly, and they're big corporate decisions that make impacts at the local area that they don't always
There's
appreciate.
your social consequences as
Yeah.
a result of an economic decision made, that case internationally, but in the case of, say, park properties, okay, individually.
Sure,
And
sure.
many others along the way.
So in the 70s and 80s, obviously a community of macadamia farmers developed.
Call it the
We-
Macadamia Society.
Well, the Macadamia Society was the representative body, and that grew with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you had a bunch of farmers who largely didn't know what they were doing, and they were feeling their way, and they were researching, and they were trying to work out, how do we do this properly? And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Best exemplified by spacings. Okay?
Yeah, row spacings
12
and-
by 10, and it rolls down to something like 4 by 3, because accountants go, let's go upwards,
Yeah.
and let's do this, and
well,
let's
and
cut
there
the
was
space.
choice of varieties, choice of feeding, also choice of what to spray for the people who were doing spray. And
Thank you.
basically at the time you could spray whatever worked, whether it was poisonous or not. And so the industry took a while to mature. The farming community, as I understand it, was quite collaborative.
Oh, but we,
And in fact, I find it still collaborative, but was it really collaborative then?
you know, you've obviously got this competition thing that goes, you know, perhaps it reduces down to my farm produces more than your farm. Who knows?
Yeah.
But they were on a common goal, and that is what are we doing? Okay.
Right.
How
But they
can we
didn't
improve
hide-
in the environment. You know all the scrutiny that has come under with spraying practices
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything else.
But that's more recent stuff.
It is far
Yeah.
more recent, but like I said, well.
In the cowboy days,
Well, they went through in the spacing. Let's use that as the prime relationship.
Sure.
And you know, you've gone through all of this. Well, let's shape the size of each row. Let's take out every second row, or let's take out every third row.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of touchy-feely to experimenting.
Sure.
And that's all that can happen.
but the farmers weren't, to my knowledge, hiding their discoveries from each other.
Not at all.
They would share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would find somebody in Lismore in particular, or Mullen less,
Yeah.
who would pick up on it and go, right, here's a machine that we can supply and provide. We had this host of field days.
Yeah.
It's
Where you'd visit someone else's farm.
no,
Oh.
you know, you're,
Oh, the actual
sorry.
the exhibitions of equipment and
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They still happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
In all the big agricultural towns have them. Dubbo, Wagga.
Actually,
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, AgQuip and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, so all that sort of happened, I guess, and then farmers shared knowledge, and eventually, and I mean, even to this day, though, the Macadamia Society is constantly going to people's farms, showing case studies in the journal and saying this is how we do things and here's what we found works and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I find that great because access to knowledge is so much easier now with the internet.
Thank you.
Obviously, it was word of mouth in the Australian Macadamia Society in the 70s and 80s.
It certainly was.
So you had to keep your ear to the ground.
Well, the investors had farm managers, okay?
And they
So
talked.
They were the ones that, yeah.
Right.
So that's, say, where it's progressed nowadays, to where the situation rolls. Basically, you're you're the one interacting rather than a farm manager. You're actually taking on far more of a manager's role.
Right.
And you get your contractors, you get this. So it enabled an economy within the local labour pool.
Yep.
That's a great thing. Okay?
Yeah. It got a bit wiped out in the flood of 22, but
Yeah.
there's still plenty of people willing to work, and which is great.
Well,
Yeah.
all the way through in its history here,
Yeah.
where it hasn't been an agribusiness as such, but it's still been subject to a decision in a boardroom or whatever else in most instances.
Right.
And that's the reality of market.
Yeah.
We're going through a lull in the market at the moment. You and I both know that the cycle is always up and down and up and down.
Yeah. But the investors haven't exactly left the building, but there's different kinds of investment now, and I just see around me, I mean, even on the drive to your place today, you see so many mansions being built.
It's unbelievable.
In the local area.
And frightening for the short-term rental thing.
Well, no one can find anything to rent because of Airbnbs but it's a very different culture now to clearly the old cattle farm culture and even the investment culture of the 70s, because people are building houses on these properties that are not managers' houses. They're playthings.
They are.
Absolute playthings.
They are playthings.
And, along with the residential development along the edges and that sort of stuff, people are now looking at this area as a desirable place to live. And macadamias, they're still the main show, but sort of, there's edging into other activities. I don't see people returning to cattle farming or necessarily cropping anything else. But there's a different feel now amongst the community, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. It lacks the community spirit that always free-flowly was earned.
Right.
And I use those words advisedly.
Yeah.
Because you do have to earn trust and respect.
Yeah.
And that's what evolved in the community. Nowadays, we seem to have faraway folk who just come in and build something, and that's it.
Yeah.
And from there on, it's dependent on either a local rental, and it's short stay, as we've identified generally, because of the size of them.
Yeah.
Here you go, okay? Were I to stay here,
Yep.
were I able to
Yep.
stay here,
Yeah.
I'd be taking out every second vertical row to allow more light in.
Yeah.
Because I happen to enjoy being able to produce in a place that I live.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, as far as an investor goes, rather than putting up some dirty big mansion,
Yeah.
say somebody buys this, okay, here's an investor.
Yeah.
I'd happily live here for $1,500 a week for 12 months, I can assure you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that sort of a criteria that you can do this within.
Sure.
Figure out what you might want to do, come back. Everybody tells me the trees are going to be the first thing to get knocked down. They would be. I had arranged somebody who was interested in it, and he wanted to take out every second row vertically as well.
Yeah.
He's that kind of a person.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd necessarily have to. I mean, you're getting more light inception than I'm getting in my place, but then my place does need more urgent work than yours.
I'm not doing it to an economic return.
No.
You are. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Then.
I do want to get to there, yeah, but there's some rehab to go yet, whereas you're starting here with a farm that's in great nick, really.
And they can do a small amount. And if you work from home, even as a purchaser, okay, if you had a job working from home, how ideal is this lifestyle? I can vouch for it.
Well, there's examples, and people, look, not personal friends, but friends of friends who are now living in the Northern Rivers doing a Sydney work from home job that they used to go into an office for, and this is why office accommodation in Sydney is now so empty, and in Parramatta, where I also work, it's a office accommodations at a record low. So people are able to move out to a place like this. But it is a different community now, because it's not a community of farm managers running macadamia farms. It's external owners. Maybe they hire contractors in to do the work, that sort of stuff.
Well, pull it into your local community.
Yeah.
And in Northern Rivers, is a place where there is actually a community. Now, I don't believe that, from what I see of the people who come up here from the city to move up, that they have been in the experience of a local community that really wants to do things locally, communally. And a great example is, say, Bangalore with their Christmas parties and whatever else. And Billy Card Derby, let me emphasise. But
I was driving up Friday Hut Road.
This sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're bringing with them a lot of art and culture and stimulating a lot of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
You know, there's
some positive influence.
Lining on every cloud, to my experience. There really is.
Yeah. I guess, look, I'm lucky with neighbours. I have a farm manager basically next door to me on one side, and I have Peter Fraser on the other side, and like Peter's been doing this a long time, and so he knows how to be a good neighbour. We all get along really beautifully.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm lucky, maybe that's still the standard in some parts of the Northern Rivers. You do see farms up for sale, you know, in the Alstonville Plateau, and I've given some people advice about, you know, which farms to look at and not look at. But pardon me, in retrospect,
Bless you.
Thank you. In retrospect, so you know, if someone was looking today to buy a farm in the Northern Rivers as a lifestyle stroke investment, but not 100% of either, what advice would you give them?
I'd look for, I can tell you that.
Other than they should buy your farm.
Yes. Well, okay. No, the guiding factor is be careful of how much you loan to work the bricks and mortar, okay?
Okay.
Now, do you want to loan as part of the purchase, or can you not loan as part of the purchase price?
Yep.
Okay, and then you can do something like a line of credit, which is how I've survived until all the laws changed now.
Yes.
And you can't renew. However, if you don't overextend yourself initially,
Yep.
you leave yourself the insurance of a future borrowing.
Yes.
Okay?
If you need to.
If you need to.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and if there's a windfall, there's a windfall. Yeah.
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 So all you have to do is manage it. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day job or your work from home job, even better, or day job out here.
Yeah.
I don't mean in the farm, I mean go out and get something.
Yeah.
Enjoy that, because here's where you can come back to. Now, I'll give you an idea. And you know, I'm about to turn 70. So if I can do it,
Yeah.
People with young families, if you can do the lifestyle, you'll have a better quality of education for the kids.
Yeah.
Half of this is listening and observing. It's not brain power, it's deducting and analysing.
Yeah.
But it's listening and observing.
Yeah.
And that I can't give you as a better key to life.
Yeah.
So yeah, go the lifestyle and enjoy it. It's not only to relax in, it's to have a ball in.
Yeah.
Okay, go hard. You know,
Yeah. Well, you did it in your 30s, and that was a deliberate lifestyle change. You were at the top of the corporate tree and then gave it all away for this, which I still am stunned by, sort of thing. But then you made a go of this little place after managing part of these park properties in the 70s. You know, are macadamias still viable, do you think?
Downtime represents invention.
Yeah.
It's a young crop, it has everything going for it, okay? Of anything I'd rather grow, it was macadamias.
Still, though?
Oh, you get time on your hands. Do you have to harvest today?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no better crop to be able to be, shall we say, laissez-faire about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, well, it's a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it fruits at a certain time of year, and that's great. There are definite steps along the way in every season, and they're not robotically applied because, like you say, you've got to observe and see when things are going to be the most beneficial. But there is some downtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not likely to get any myself this week.
Well,
Well, until the grass stops growing, it's the busy time of year, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
for me anyway. You've been mowing, so it all looks like cheating here.
this was Monday, Tuesday, because I do it in a couple of blocks, and Monday, Tuesday were exhaustingly hot.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The beauty about this is,
Yeah.
hey, you can do it in the midday sun. Madman and Englishman and everything.
You can under the shade, yeah. I've got some open areas where the grass grows the fastest, of course, and
Yeah.
I've got to try and pick the right time of day to mow those or slash those this time, because it's going to be fairly hot and sweltering. Having said that, everyone says the Northern Rivers is hot. Well, this Saturday Sydney's forecast to be 42 and Rosebank's forecast to be 30. So there's a moderating effect of
There is.
of heat in the Northern Rivers. You don't get some of the extremes that the rest of the state
I'll
gets.
tell you what though,
Yeah.
the grass she grows, Daniel.
Yeah,
Okay?
it does.
That's
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday last week.
Right, I can still see it growing back.
Oh, phew.
Yeah,
It was like this for half an hour.
yeah. Well, you have to know that when you're getting a macadamia farm, and this time of year where there is some moisture in the ground, grass is gonna grow, and it's the biggest job you do. And if you don't like sitting on a mower, then you probably don't want to get into this sort of lifestyle. But
Hey,
yeah.
if you don't like sitting on a mower, you haven't heard of Audible, you haven't heard of Spotify, you haven't heard of how to provide a background for something that you want to.
You know, I don't do that yet. I
don't you?
don't do that. Yeah, I don't listen to music as I mow. I actually sing songs in my head.
Even better.
Funnily enough, I just hum a tune. But the downtime for me is, from my day job, I don't have to cross-examine anyone. I don't have to read a single printed word of text.
I'm with you.
I don't have to speak, and I like speaking like you do. But it's one of those sort of it's one of those sort of things that's the antidote to what I normally do. And on that level, I think as a lifestyle thing, it's enormously beneficial to me. But does it ever wear thin? I mean, after 36 years.
I haven't found it worn thinner. I've
You've-
skated close to the edge.
Right.
It's the All Over Macadamia company, because it makes invention,
Yeah.
okay?
And I suppose that's finishing up as well now that you won't have a supply, or you still think you might engage in a bit of that?
I most certainly can access it.
Yep.
Whether I do or not, I'm going to just wait and see. I've got a lot of work to do here in the next few months.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And from there, I'll wait and see what evolves
Right.
for, say, the first 12 months.
Yeah.
I've got no interest in reinvesting in land.
Yes, so really, I mean, macadamia farming is a chapter that's closing for you,
And it's been a full
but
book
not
for
not
me.
without regret. I mean, not with regret. Sorry.
No, not with any regret.
I mean, we can now look at all from the top to the bottom of your block of trees. That's just a lovely sight.
It's a joy.
Whether some buyer rips them up or not, and I sincerely hope they don't, because wow, what a body of work. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Chances are somebody will come in and put up a mega mansion. That'll be the first thing to go. And if they want to entertain it and keep the grass down, they'll put horses on it.
Yeah, look, there's some horsey places around, but they don't seem terribly productive in terms of feeding the world, or I don't begrudge horsey people at all, but
yes, I know what you mean.
it's just one of those difficult things where you try and do something productive, and part of the attraction for me is I'm producing food for people. Right? I mean, I do see the skip bins leave the property. It's a little bit impersonal because I'm not selling those nuts direct to a consumer.
You are providing one of the three basic necessities for life from another of, in this case, your three basic necessities in life.
Yeah.
Okay?
And a lot of us who work in offices or in the city and do things that are either finance, law, services, etc. We've never really had any experience in producing physical product, and there's I can say from personal experience, that's a really amazing thing to do. You know, it doesn't mean that I regard my own work as less valuable. I still value that. I still change people's lives, but it's a
You can physically see what you've achieved today.
Yeah. And you
that's
know,
the most satisfying.
and you know, someone's going to be eating your product and really enjoying it too, which is, yeah. I mean, it's a very good feeling. And I think I mentioned in the last show I did. I mean, the world's approaching 10 billion people. They need food. And it doesn't mean they can all eat macadamia nuts necessarily, but it's you know, nuts and tree products are a great way of sucking up the world's carbon emissions and turning them into something edible.
And not producing methane while they're doing it.
Not producing methane. Although
subject.
I know, although we you know, we're very grateful for the cattle industry because they give us the manure we need to do that. So
Look,
there's a life cycle. Yeah.
It's the name of the game.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. It's called collaboration.
Yeah.
Or competition is good for innovation.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that, but competition, and we're finding it out,
Yeah.
is not working because we're all getting pigeonholed.
Yep.
And we don't fit the pigeonholes.
Right. Hey, let's walk towards your mangoes because that's another interesting part. There aren't that many commercial mango farms in the Northern Rivers, but I've driven on the way out to Dunoon on Dunoon Road, the top end of it, and there are one or two mango farms there still.
Oh yes.
And I thought it was all Northern Territory these days.
And far north Queensland.
And far north Queensland, yeah.
But down here it's too temperamental for the fact that
it rains too often during flowering season.
November, or usually October actually.
Yeah.
And it makes it unviable.
I want to show them, the viewers, your Stonehenge. Well, it's not Stonehenge.
No, but it is.
That's where you have your little corroborees.
Yeah. The corroboree.
Yeah.
But we've had Argentinian barbecues there. Very
well.
Let me quickly add.
That's from the other side of the world, that's for sure.
Isn't it ever?
Yeah.
Well, I get a lot of advantages with the young people who've come in here to do their work.
Sure. Now, did you plant these mangoes, Bruce?
Yes, I did.
Right, so these are from scratch.
Yep.
And
they were a 1990 venture.
Wow.
Or adventure. Same as the citrus. There used to be 52 of them here. But I got cancer back in 2005.
Yeah.
4 or 5. And
is that some out of season citrus over there?
Poor thing, it's at the end of its life.
Oh.
You and I have discussed that though.
Yeah,
20,
yeah.
Okay, was the ideal one. These are 33 at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Now, I do know that there's...
So these trees are about 30 years old now.
33 now.
And you spaced them. You planted them a little bit like a macadamia orchard, didn't you?
Well, why not? We call it the Avenue of Mangoes.
Yes.
Okay, there's some mid-sized ones for starters.
Yeah, we've got a couple there.
They've got a long way to go, those babies. And these are Kensington Prides, which was...
well, the best tasting.
That was
still the best tasting, yeah.
You know, I had some high-class stuff. That poor citrus tree that's on its way out.
Yeah.
It's called a Gemini, and I've never been able to replace it.
Okay.
But I believe that it was an Emperor mandarin.
Yeah, no, the Gemini mandarins are in, I think that's a Californian variety.
Is it?
From memory, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked them up at the time and thought which is the best one to plant. And my sister up in Queensland has these old mandarin trees that are over 100 years old.
Fabulous.
And they'll never be commercial again because they're too full of seeds.
Yes.
There's a seed in every segment.
Yes.
But the juice is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the taste, isn't it? Come on.
It's the taste, but yeah, people don't like the seeds, and so the Imperials and look, the Imperials taste nice.
They do. Now that we're getting far closer.
Oh,
to reality.
yeah.
Okay. They've still got plenty of nose on them.
And of course, for people who living outside of the Northern Rivers, we know that these.
That's
yeah.
when they're going.
Yeah, but these really mature. I found that my ones, when I had the bumper year, they matured in February.
Yes, that's when these normally go.
Yeah.
So I'm pleasantly surprised that they're you know, while I'm still here, I'm going to get some mangoes.
Yeah.
Although the downside of that is, as we've discussed,
Yeah.
when you get mangoes, and it's mango boot camp.
Yeah, yeah, you get too many or not enough.
Oh, huge amounts.
It's feast or famine.
Somewhere. Oh dear.
It's a pity we can't make them more reliable in the area, because by February the Northern Territory's all clapped out. You know, there's no more mangoes from the Northern Territory in February usually. That, and the trays of, you know, a tray for $25 at Christmas time, they're all Northern Territory's peak period.
Everything is. They've even got Kensington Prides from the Northern Territory. They were one of the ones that come in a month or so ago.
Yeah.
So, no, but here, if you really want to grow mangoes seriously,
yeah,
you've got to be spraying your fungicide
to protect the flowers.
Jolly well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's people doing this with macadamias now, and the jury's still a bit out on whether or not that works. I tend to think it probably does work a bit, because Peter Fraser's doing it and he doesn't spend money for nothing.
No.
But spraying the flowers with a fungicide to stop them rotting if it rains has seemed to work for him, because even in rainy Septembers he still gets a good crop. And he was trying something new this year, which is, I mean, again, I don't know if it's rated for macadamias or not, but you've got to sort of take the view that he's experimenting.
Thank you.
If it wins, I mean, like you, he lives off his nuts, and he wants the best possible crop, and, you know, is straining all out to do it, and he's been doing it for actually even longer. Well,
yeah.
Maybe even longer than you, although, you know, when you count the fact that, you know, you've done so much in the 70s as well.
Well, so did he.
Yeah.
And that's where his big learning will have come from, to where he goes, no, I know this doesn't work, or I know this does work, more importantly.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to have faith in this until I see something that's better.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly what goes. I said to you very early in the piece that my decision to turn organic occurred within 6 months of my moving here.
Yes.
When I did the course and found out about the sprays, read the labels, and said, no, I've got to live here.
Yes.
And I decided to follow an organic course, for better or for worse, okay?
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I am so pleased that I did.
Yeah.
But that was me.
Yeah.
Economically speaking, as you found with biodynamics, you can do a lot better.
You can.
Economically speaking. Okay?
You can, and I don't regret returning to some degree of conventional farming, but as we know, there's good and bad ways to do that.
We're learning. We're still learning.
Yeah.
I don't know anything that isn't learning. Okay?
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
Call it religion or science, everything gets tested.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not proven yet, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
At best, it's indicative, my friend.
Yeah. And for the future, I suppose, when you're looking at these people coming into the northern rivers and that sort of thing, culturally,
yep.
How do you encourage them to deal with a sense of community when they're not here all the time? I'm
afraid that the NIMBY mentality is probably going to actually...
now what is this?
Something that has to be thwarted.
Define NIMBY mentality.
Not in my backyard.
Oh, okay. Right. Is that what that means?
Oh, mate, I only found out what YOLO meant the other day, and that's you only live once.
Oh, yeah. Well, my daughters taught me that. But yeah, the NIMBY. Okay, so NIMBY, that certainly does. That makes sense in a way. Yeah. But there's a fair bit of that around the edges of macadamia farms now, and then there's...
The more you invest in being around the edge of a macadamia farm, or being within wind drift of a macadamia farm, the more that you feel that you've been infiltrated is too hard a word, but put upon. Okay?
Yeah.
And that adds to the divisiveness, which seems to be rampant in this day and age.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Okay.
Is that somewhat of an argument for buying a macadamia farm in a solid macadamia farming district where it's wall-to-wall macadamia farms?
You'll find less objections from neighbours.
Yeah.
But your farming practices, and to be able to respond to people who have concerns about your farming practices in a reasoned light, is not prohibitive. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, really, if you can actually go, well... what's actually happening here is I'm spraying this.
Yeah.
Okay, and I apologise for
Yeah.
on your roof. But I can understand people, okay, particularly ignorant people,
Yeah.
who come up here and they suddenly find they're on a water tank supply rather than town water, which,
Yeah.
okay, you get halfway through building your mansion and you suddenly find this little thing.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, to work out the gravity of water here, I've got drains on either side of the rainwater tank.
I've seen, yeah.
Shows that
Yeah.
when my rainwater tank is full, and incidentally I've got the bore to fill it with, okay?
Yes, yeah.
But when my rainwater tank is full, I've raised the sides anyway because I don't need to expand that much. But if it's getting concerning, okay,
Yeah.
I'll still keep the sides raised for the drains,
Yeah.
so that the roof can get a jolly good wash.
Yes.
And it's not just sprays, I can tell you, dust more than anything.
Oh, yeah, bird poop, all that sort of stuff.
you.
But, yeah, I mean, you apply filters. I've got a filter on my system, that sort of stuff, if you're really fussy about that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can tell you, okay, like when it comes to moving to the country, I think it's fantastic in my experience. I've never regretted it.
Yeah.
It's created opportunities outside of macadamia farming merely because of the size of what I've got and how I've run a mortgage over the bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
So it's not beyond anybody, and I'm no Albert Einstein, I can assure you, okay?
Yeah.
No Milton Friedman either.
Well,
but
you must have
either.
been better than average with numbers, but yes, okay. You've
I can analyse them quickly. That's the beauty of it.
You've carefully done it over the time, and I can see why. With interest rates as they are and macadamia prices as they are, a lot of farmers have felt the crunch, including me. But things go in cycles, and you think long term and you act long term until obviously if you hit, if you reach a point in time where you've got to think about the rest of your life without macadamia farming,
well,
you make certain decisions, and that
I
happens.
mean, like the best option, okay, is death ultimately.
No,
to be doing what I want until then, okay?
Yes,
The best option if you get to pick it, okay?
Yeah.
But from there on, imagine if you're unable to do what I want to do. If I was unable to do that, and we'll call it physically, but it can go for financially and whatever else, okay?
You wouldn't want to sit on your own farm and watch it decay because...
What a tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay, I've only caretaken this place. I'm hoping that I leave it in a better position than when I came to it.
Well, that's guaranteed. But the question is, what does the next person do? And I guess to extent you have to let go. The place I used to stay at near Bangalore, when I was house hunting, was this enormous thing, and the owner had spent $500,000 planting all these species that were conducive to wildlife and koalas and all that sort of stuff. When she eventually sold for a great price, they just bulldozed the lot.
Thank you.
And she's never been able to go back there. And she hears about it and just starts crying. So, but really, she's got to let go. And it is a shame what's happened, because I have beautiful memories of that place. But it's just you hope that people will want to leave the place in a better condition than what they found it.
The one thing I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can't, but I'd love to, but I can't. Is our two little birds have had 2 offspring.
Oh, Squawkly and yeah. They still come in and beg for feed.
They've got they have me and Dave now worked out to perfection. I mean, and they've introduced us to the babies, but only introduced us by feeding them up in our site here, okay, rather than up on the wires and things like that.
So why aren't they begging now? Where are they? They'll be round.
You drive out and I've walked in.
Oh, I'm the problem.
They'll be in, okay?
So where's our food?
Yeah. Hey, come on. Where's cheese, please?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's not their natural diet, but it doesn't seem to hurt them anyway. So
No,
they've got a bit of fat and a bit of protein. So, yeah.
It does not.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel,
Well, Bruce,
congratulations. You've made it to 150.
150.
Okay. And
I never thought I'd do that, and I never thought I'd have any more than a handful of subscribers, but you've helped me along the way, and thank you for your contributions.
It's a pleasure.
I still want to call on you if I ever need historical perspectives, because you're the best storyteller there is on that. Closely followed by Peter Fraser, I must say. But it's a great resource for the industry, for someone who's able to see it from a close to 50-year perspective, rather than just approaching it, and not being able to do any more than wonder what happened before and how things developed.
Into economics only.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, there's a real distinction, and this place probably exemplifies it. Okay, between riches or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And true wealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the true wealth is something else, because you keep seeing the headlines about people who die very rich and very unhappy, and in terms of money, and the two don't always go together very well. And
I haven't found that in the instance of many instances where they go together impeccably anyway.
No.
Okay.
So we might end this show with the way we ended the first episode of the Macadamia show with you.
Me, Daniel.
They trespassed you. Prosecutors will be trespassed.
Yep.
Is that included in the sale? Or are you going to be taking that one with you?
I might take it with me, but if somebody doesn't object, I will most certainly come. That frame is 100-year-old floorboards from the original Tinton Bar School, or Tevan School, I understand.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But I'll see if Andy, who helped me with it, if he wants it, that's his.
Right.
I'm going to be downsizing big time.
Yes.
And I have to, needless to say.
But you'll need to keep some of your relics, and you'll always be welcome to visit at Nutkin Farm if you want a fix of macadamias. So,
thank you so much.
No worries. Anyway, we'll say goodbye to the viewers from now and have a well-earned cup of tea, I reckon. So thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you, Daniel. It's always a pleasure.
All right.